2025 introduced in the Lok Sabha, proposing a comprehensive overhaul of India's immigration laws. The bill aims to enhance national security, streamline immigration procedures and impose stricter penalties on foreigners who violate entry and stay conditions. It introduces a significant shift by placing the burden of proving legal status on individuals rather than the state. The bill explicitly states that any foreign national posing a threat to national security, sovereignty or integrity will be denied entry or permission to stay in India. It also proposes mandatory registration for foreigners upon arrival, restricting their movement, name changes and access to protected or restricted areas. Additionally, institutions such as educational establishments, hospitals and nursing homes will be required to report foreign nationals to immigration authorities. The new legislation seeks to replace colonial-era laws, including the Foreigners Act 1946, the Passport Entry into India Act 1920, the Registration of Foreigners Act 1939. These laws enacted during the World War era are now seen as outdated, and the government argues that a unified framework is necessary to avoid overlapping regulations. It also seeks to replace the Immigration Carriers Liability Act 2000 by creating a single comprehensive framework for regulating of foreigners into India. Let's listen into what Manish Tiwari had to say on this.
I rise to oppose the Immigration and Foreigners Bill. Mr. Speaker, sir, Rule 70(1) of the Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in the Lok Sabha contemplates two situations. One is opposition to a bill simpliciter, and two, opposition to a bill on grounds of legislative competence. Beyond the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India, there lies Part 3 of the Constitution. Part 3 of the Constitution codifies the fundamental rights which are available to every person / every citizen of India. This bill is in violation of those fundamental rights on multiple counts, and with your permission, allow me to enumerate those violations of fundamental rights. Clause 3(1), through its first proviso, grants omnibus powers to the Union government to restrict the entry of any foreigner into India ostensibly on grounds of national security, sovereignty, integrity, relations with a foreign state, public health, or any other reasons as may be specified by the central government. The second proviso to Clause 3(1) fails to provide an appeal mechanism against the decision of the immigration officer which violates fundamental rights, which violates the fundamental canons of natural justice and jurisprudence. Furthermore, the first proviso of Clause 3(1) vests absolute discretion in the government to prohibit the entry of any foreign national, including persons of Indian origin. This provision has the potential to be misused if any government of the day feels that the political views or ideological beliefs of any individual or consensuous dissenter are not conformist in nature with the disposition of the current establishment. This constitutes a clear violation of Article 14 of the Constitution, which guarantees equality before law and equal protection of the laws to any person, a term that explicitly encompasses foreigners also. अध्यक्ष जी 2-3 और चीजें हैं जो बुनियादी अधिकारों का हनन करती हैं, और इसलिए मैं संक्षेप में, अगर आप अनुमति दें, 2-3 चीजें और हैं, मैं उसका उल्लेख कर देता हूं. Clause 14 empowers the Union government to order the closure of any premises, either entirely or for specified periods, merely on the grounds that it is frequented by a foreigner. Now, this is violation of Article 19(1)(g) of the Constitution. Clause 10.
आप rules के तहत 74 rule के तहत ही.
I object to the new laws, especially with regard to obligation of universities, as well as hospital, nursing home, or any other medical institutes admitting any foreigner. This will restrict inflow of talent and know-how in the country in the fields of academic and medical science.
महोदय, मैं माननीय गृह मंत्री श्री अमित शाह जी की ओर से प्रस्ताव करता हूं कि भारत में प्रवेश करने वाले और उससे निकास करने वाले व्यक्तियों की बाबत पासपोर्ट या अन्य यात्रा दस्तावेजों की अपेक्षा का उपबंध करने के लिए केंद्रीय सरकार को कतिपय शक्तियां प्रदान करने और वीज़ा तथा रजिस्ट्रीकरण की अपेक्षा सहित विदेशियों से संबंधित मामलों को भी नियमित करने के लिए तथा उनसे संसक्त या उनसे अनुषंगिक विषयों का उपबंध करने वाले विधेयक को पुनः स्थापित करने की अनुमति दी जाए।
Anand Singh is joining us for more details on this story. Anand, the big political uproar, of course, over this new bill that has been tabled. NDA MPs backing it, opposition MPs opposing it.
Yeah, Uday, look, the way in which this new foreigners and immigration bill has been brought up in the parliament today, and it was tabled by Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityanand Rai. So this bill clearly tries to outline the four the colonial era that includes the Foreigners Bill 1946 and the Passport Entry into India 1920 and the Immigration Bill 1939. So clearly the government has brought up a new bill suggesting that there was number of overlapping in all these bills. So this wants to make them more easier for the people. However, when we talk about the clauses that the government has mentioned in this bill, that how the foreigners who are traveling to India, and if they pose a security threat to national security, integrity and sovereignty, then they would be denied entry, and if they are staying in India, then they will be sent back to their respective countries. And this bill even also proposes the provisions of that mandating all the foreigners who are staying in India that they need to mention if they are changing their names or addresses, they have to inform the immigration authorities. While suggesting heavy penalties and imprisonment, it said that if any of the foreigners traveling to India, if they have been found with false documents, then they can face imprisonment from 2 to 7 years, while a fine of rupees 2 to 10 lakh rupee will be imposed on them. So clearly number of things have been mentioned in this bill, which also gives immense power to the immigration authorities to arrest or detain someone without any warrant or carry out searches without having any warrant. So clearly this bill has outlined several of the parts, and it has made quite an uproar in the parliament, as Congress MP from Chandigarh, Manish Tiwari, he highlighted some of the sections that how Article 3(1)A and then 19A and 14A were not going properly in this bill, and he suggested that this needs to be discussed properly before bringing. However, the government, the BJP and the Treasury bench members, they supported the bill. So clearly the Congress has been demanding more discussion on this bill before this bill is passed in parliament. Back to you then.
All right, Anand, stay with us. In fact, we're getting more breaking news coming in. A ruckus has erupted in the upper house of the parliament, Rajya Sabha, over Congress chief Mallikarjun Kharge's remarks for the